54-year-old Cynthia Marie Graham Hurd, sister of North Carolina legislator Malcolm Graham and manager at the public library system in Charleston. 87-year-old Susie Jackson, a choir member. 70-year-old Ethel Lee Lance, the church sexton. 49-year-old D. Payne Middleton, pastor. 41-year-old Clementa C. Pinckney, church pastor and South Carolina state senator. 26-year-old Tawanza Saunders Jackson, Bible study member and Susie Jackson's granddaughter. 74-year-old Daniel Simmons, pastor. 45-year-old Sharonda Coleman Singleton, pastor, speech therapist, and coach. 59-year-old Myra Thompson, Bible study teacher.
Down at the roadhouse Saturday night, just like everybody else. Look for fun, get into a fight, just like everybody else. I'm gonna drink down a bottle that high octane, with the buzz in the blood and the fire in the brain. Don't make no mess, there won't be no mess. So come get some, come get some.
All right, man, we are back, and unfortunately, we've had to be a little more serious today after the events in Charleston at the Emmanuel African Methodist Church last week that too many of us are now aware of. And it's a ugly situation, American terrorism, right, Tom? I mean, yeah. I remember the first response, I remember media response, because it's a little easier sometimes to talk about that stuff. But the initial, especially in the right-wing media, and actually the initial Republican Party response was this was about religion. And that he had attacked these
Did you
folks.
see Santorum dialed that back, though?
Oh,
the next day, he dialed it so far back. He was like, no, I didn't know everything that was going on.
Well, and you know what kind of, I think, sparked that was Ben Carson. Right? Ben can be a little wacky. He's not as much fun as Herman Cain, because I love Herman Cain. And everybody knows I like Herman. I love Herman Cain, man. And
so did all his mistresses,
yes,
too.
He'd be entertaining, though, up there. But anyway, so Ben Carson, he came out and rightfully said, and finally it's like a line that some of these guys just won't cross. I don't care what kind of guy you think you got, Republican Party, and what you think he's going to do or say for you, or whether he's going to tell people, remind them that, the whole line about, Martin Luther King was a Republican and all. I don't care what you think this guy's going to say. There is a line that most people will not cross, and that line is, man, this was about race. And Ben Carson came out like, look, you people are disgusting. This is about race. You got to start calling it for what it is.
Yeah, it's the thing about, you look at the clown card that is the Republican presidential nominee.
Entertaining for people like me, though.
Oh my God! Yeah. Of course, you've got a mountain of content.
It's just I don't even have to work anymore.
Jeez, stop being politicians when something of this magnitude occurs.
Or at least be
cut it out.
Yeah, at least be thoughtful about the thing, because you got to remember
every word that came out of every one of them's mouth, with the exception of maybe Ben. And I think that was a calculated. There was some
calculation, but I think Ben Carson got
everything
to the point
was calculated based on how's this going to poll? How's this going to poll? How's this going to poll? We've become all of our candidates have become the marketers of the new age. Yeah. That's all it's about. It's about, okay, what viral marketing can I instill that's going to be spread quickly?
Oh, they absolutely are.
And change the course of the discussion. And that's all they're after. They want to make sure they don't upset somebody that may vote for them in white America.
They're entrepreneurial. In that way. And Tim, he's been in here how long, man? And we already got his blood pressure up a little
bit.
That's
right. We're on our way.
We had to put a meter on it.
Mission accomplished.
Tommy's like, I'm going to be cool today.
I've only had 8 shots of espresso today, so, I'm trying to catch up from not having that great a coffee while I was away.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You went to our nation's capital.
I did. I got to hang out with all the thieves and liars.
How was
that? It was awesome. I stayed far away from the thieves and liars. And I spent all the time with the art.
Did you?
The art.
There is some beautiful stuff
I'm
there.
so inspired by the art. I mean, I come from the city of arts and innovation.
Yeah, and it's amazing that all that great art is right there near all that crap that you have to.
You don't even see it if you just focus on the art.
But speaking of politics in this, and we'll focus it back to the Emmanuel situation. Speaking of politics, Nikki Haley, and I think she is absolutely cynical about it. I got to be honest with you, because that's how I think. And I know politicians, most of them are cynical.
Well, again, you look at the evolution of her statements. So she started off with scared.
So,
and then somebody lit up under her.
But who's benefited? Okay, now we're attacking the Confederate battle flag. That was silly anyway.
Exactly. The NRA is really happy right now.
And the NRA is coasting, man.
Like, they're going after the flag, not guns. Okay, cool.
Yeah. They're not going to really talk about what caused this thing. They're going to talk about flags.
Yeah, we're not going after, education. Let's start at education. I mean, I've read one report that this...
Well, the flag.
I'm not going to use the word deranged. I'm not going to use the word crazy, insane, or any of that because this is institutionalized racism.
Yeah.
It happened with this one kid.
Yeah.
And I read some report that said that he had an unrequited love, and that unrequited love started dating a black male.
But see, that to me is too simplistic.
The deep end.
No, that sounds like the all the kind of weird justifications for Hitler's behavior.
Everybody's trying to justify what he did, or justify.
But I don't even care about
response.
This kid, right? Like seriously, throw him in a hole. And I don't
care. But unfortunately, we need to take a counterpoint to that.
Yeah.
We got to care about this kid because this kid represents a segment of the population that is capable of doing the same thing again and at a different point in time. If we do not address the issues that created this child, because at 21, still a damn child.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's clearly I mean by meaning I don't care about him. The problem is the conversation gets into this kind of armchair psychology, and we get into all these weird things, and we start justifying things. And again, we don't look at the structural problems that create a guy like this. Part of it is the demographic realities, and he's peeling off of adults like these nonsense with the Council for Constitutional whatever.
No,
those guys who basically put him up to this. I don't care what they say. They're going into hiding. If you went into hiding, you didn't.
Did you read their statement?
Yeah.
There was no condolence. No, nothing. Just
we didn't do it.
Everything that he said was right.
Of course it was, because it's what you taught him to say. And adults in this situation, like those people, have to be held account. But the other thing is and I'm all for getting the flag's silly. It's actually a sign of treason. I mean, let's face it.
It's a sign of treason.
It's a sign of treason.
It's the Tennessee battle flag.
If that's
for
your heritage,
out loud.
leave.
I mean, do your damn history research. Yeah. It's available. It's
and,
there.
And quite
this
frankly,
never flew over the Capitol in Richmond whenever there was a Confederate States of America.
But what was going on? We've had to go on our Facebook, and I've never had to delete this many people and ban this many people.
I'm sure,
because we don't allow that kind of nonsense, right?
Yeah.
We don't like it when apparently white supremacists really like YouTube. I have not noticed.
Oh,
that must be the most used social networking
platform. They understand the power of video.
Yeah,
well, and they can't read.
No, there's that too. Yeah. So they're all YouTube.
So they have to watch.
Well, see, this is the unfortunate thing is that a lot of them can read. In fact, the guy with the Council for Conservative whatever. Who
is neither a real conservative.
I have 130 plus IQ.
Yeah.
And then he starts listing off all the reasons why he's better than every African American that has ever walked, talked, or done anything, breathed.
Yeah, he's not a bright guy, but these guys keep hitting us.
But he's got 130 IQ.
Oh. Well, they hit us over the battle flag thing because our governor has now jumped into the mix and said
we're going to take it off the license plate,
which is maybe, and we might take it off the ones. We might let the ones stay and all this other nonsense. Although the Supreme Court said we can just take them off.
The NRA is just sitting back, smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to focus
not just the NRA.
We're going to focus on the flag.
Not just the NRA. Guys like Art Pope are sitting around laughing because we're not talking about things like community revitalization or urban revitalization or jobs creation or anything. We're all concentrating as a solution because Americans love a solution even if it's not the right one. I mean, let's face it, we invaded 2 countries in the last decade and a half, neither of which really did anything
Japanese
to us.
internment camps.
So there's
our solution.
We have we're solutions looking for a problem. We have voter ID in our state when there is 0.00000093
did you
voter
see
fraud
that quick
proven,
maneuver they made to kind of rewrite part of it?
They have softened it a bit, and I was reading over that law. I've not gotten everything together on that. I'll be doing a story about that later in the week.
Did you see The Onion? I know that Onion is not real. I mean,
it's real as anything else going on right now.
Yeah. Satire is probably the only real news we get anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
But about
with the exception of you, Chad.
Lawmakers are trying to do away with the American flag because 143 million people have died because of it.
Yes. Yeah. Let's just you're going to run it. That's going to solve that. Yeah.
But I mean that's kind of what it is. We're picking and choosing the wrong things.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, does the flag need to come down? Sure, it needs to be put in a museum, and we need to deal with that historical relevance of it.
But where have the Republicans been? Even in this year, you still have people baiting with the flag. That flag. You still have people. Absolutely. That Southern strategy is still in effect. It was started by Richard Nixon then back in the day, which was to take the Southern, what were at the time Democrats, the Dixiecrats, those who liked segregation, those who were white supremacists, and the idea was to completely take over that voting bloc, which they did successfully. Yeah. The modern day Republican Party, particularly in North Carolina, is built on that idea of breeding racial disharmony and scaring white folks. And so now,
which
all these years later,
for thousands of years politically,
because this mutant walks into a church down there, all of a sudden their eyes have been opened. They've had a Damascus moment and realized that some of the stuff they've done possibly has led to this young man's stuff. Because
I think that
there's not a whole lot that he espouses that is not mainstream Republican thought either.
True.
Scary. It's only a little way away in that he's a little more. There's less weasel words involved in what this knucklehead is saying, and what a whole lot of people have been saying since the 1970s, and completely through the Reagan administration. He was not a racist himself. I've read his diaries and read stuff, but he was a master at using that as a political tool. So we've been doing this for decades now, and all of a sudden, everybody we're going to attack.
We've been doing it since Reconstruction.
We're going to remove this flag, and we're going to solve all those problems. Mm-hmm. People still aren't going to have jobs. People still are going to have substandard education. Forsyth County schools are still going to be segregated again, just like they are now. We're still going to have all these structural problems. Kids are still going to go hungry. Kids are going hungry right now because they're not getting their school lunch. Those things are still going to happen no matter what we do with this silly little flag of a dead nation that never really existed in the first place.
Well, it existed for 4 years.
Sort of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they were ever. They had currency. They had.
Would they have been recognized by the United Nations?
There was no United Nations.
But would they have been? The British? Somebody recognized them. Somebody did.
God, what was
they had to have somebody.
They recognized it. British recognized it because they wanted. They're fighting.
They were still thinking we're going to come back.
They're kids that ran away.
It was all economics at that point, as far as their international diplomacy, because the country still needed cotton. Yeah. And that was the number one supply. It was the easiest to get. Yeah. So, they were trying to strike these deals internationally. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look, here's the thing. I grew up in the South. I've been in the South all my life.
And won't leave. I love
Robert E. Lee, when I was a child, was one of my historical heroes. And it always kind of compelled me that
I was the same way till I started studying history.
He had to make that choice. He had to make the choice. I mean, he was trained at West Point, and he had to make the choice whenever the war was declared. And he was so hoping that Virginia would not join the Confederacy because he could not countenance killing fellow Virginians. And that was his motivation for joining the Confederate ranks. And as far as being a general, he was magnificent, despite the fact he was called Granny Lee. But he was trying to protect his troops by digging the trenches, by digging the moats in between. And he also knew that he was shorthanded. He was shorthanded as far as
what bothers me a little bit, and I'm from the South.
How do you make that choice, though? If we were in the same situation right now and a civil war was declared and North Carolina joined the wrong side,
I'd move.
Could you shoot your fellow North Carolinians?
No, I'd go to Canada, conscripted? Man. I'm going to go to Canada.
I hear you. Yeah.
I know people who was biased.
So was Ted Nugent, and that never happened.
Yeah, no, that guy, man. If I ever threatened to go to Canada, I'm really going to leave. No, but I get that, and the thing, and the stuff about Robert Lee on the history stuff. And part of it is at some point we got to put a spike in that history and address what's going on now. Because that history is this big legacy. It's ugly. But I really feel like what's going on now with getting rid of this flag is a show. And I get that they're able to blow off steam. It's just like we've been talking lately about even the stuff that's been going on in our state. The Moral Monday movement is great. They have great goals. They have laudable goals. And they have done some good work and put up some real sacrifices. But you know what? They haven't moved the needle at all. And the fact is, the people in charge, these reconstructionists, redeconstructionists, whatever you want to call them, are not going to budge. And the fact is,
our legislature was more representative of the actual populace as opposed to this redistricted nightmare that is going on right now with the supermajority, we could actually see that needle move.
But we're not going to see an appreciable change in that. You know when that's going to change?
despite whether he was doing it politically or not, he did issue 2 vetoes.
Yeah.
And he had to know that they had the votes in order to get that thing.
I can little insight in that. I talked to someone, seriously, who is close to the administration.
Okay.
Part of the reasons those were done, and this wasn't somebody putting me together, somebody knows me, was that the governor has made a concerted effort. He is tired of getting his butt kicked, seriously, by like Nikki Haley and all these other people on economic development stuff. And he knows that those sorts of things scare away companies.
Absolutely.
Real companies don't want to come to live in some kind of Tea Party paradise. The real companies don't want to live where segregation is still used. Real companies don't want to come to live where you're discriminating against parts of your population. Real companies don't want to come mess with that kind of stuff. And their people don't want to live there. He knows that, and that has a whole lot to do with why he's been vetoing these social nonsense things. This culture
not
war
attract
stuff.
a Fortune 5 country.
Because I legitimately, I have my everybody knows my problems with the governor and all that, and we joke and all that. But on the other hand, I really believe that the guy sincerely would because it's in his best interest to bring jobs here.
And I think Nikki that the guy Haley is South Carolina is handing our butts.
I think this battle flag has a whole lot to do with what she's doing with economic development. Yeah.
But I thought one of the most disingenuous statements that she's made over the past few days was when she was asked about economic development and courting corporate customers to come into the state. She said it had never come up. Not once.
That's not true.
I think that's not true. It has had to have come up.
It has.
I mean, how many times should she have had to defend this flag sitting front and center? Right. I mean, when they made the agreement in order to move it out, I mean, they put it in a more prominent position.
It's funny. Ann Coulter last night, I think it was last night, came out and just said what a lot of Republicans are thinking. She can't take. I'm serious. Coulter said she can't take that thing away. She's an immigrant. She has no understanding of that flag. I'm serious. She has no understanding of American history. Thing was, the young lady, Nikki Haley, like her or not, was born in 1972. She was born in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's easy enough to dig up. But Ann Coulter never does any research. Well, she's not real big on the sources. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of sources, Tommy is often a source for amusement, but sometimes he's been a source for stories and things. And Tommy's thumb, Tim, is near the pulse around here.
Oh yeah,
I think we joke about him around the house. He's like Peter Lorre in those old films. Like he's the guy that knows a little bit about everything. Right?
Except he doesn't talk like this.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And now that we got him back on the show, we need to plumb the depths of Tommy's feelings lately because we've been missing you.
We
finally quit talking about you because we felt like we were talking about you because you weren't around. We were worried.
The only thing we heard was.
Yeah, it was like, what do you think, Tommy? Like Derwin Montgomery or something. We've invited him again. But Derwin, if you would like to come on the show, and doors open every week. Wednesday. He's going to come on one day.
Oh, yeah?
He told me last time I saw him he was cool. All right, so we have some questions from Tommy. Derwin Montgomery.
Oh, okay.
He's never showed up. We planned how many? 2 or 3 different times. Mm-hmm. And then, it'll come the day. We'll be all excited. Derwin's going to come in. We're going to talk. Exciting young politician. And then crickets. And that's what happens every time. But hopefully he'll come this next time we actually make a plan. But for Tommy, plumbing the depths of Tommy's feeling, because I like...
Feelings?
Yes, feelings, Tommy. We're going to talk about feelings.
I have to... Hold on. I got to call up emotion. Okay.
Okay, let's start at the top. You talked a little bit about it. Yeah, let's start at the top. Presidential politics.
That's starting at the top.
Are you really losing your hair?
I just noticed, man. I saw some pictures from our trip to D.C., and I was like, oh, my God, you didn't tell me this.
You're losing it. Well, you got a spot, and nobody told you?
Right there. Yeah.
I worry about that.
Crown.
I worry about that. I'll just tie a bun up over it.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Presidential politics. Where's Tommy on presidential politics right now?
I like Bernie.
I like Bernie, too. How can you account for, man, the guy's pulling numbers. Pulling
like
crowds
Bernie.
like nobody's business, man. It's like Robert Plant has come back and done a tour with Led Zeppelin.
A real poll. I don't think there's been a real poll yet with Bernie.
And I'm about tired of the way other media, frankly, are treating the guy because they dismiss him.
Oh yeah.
That bothers me.
Well, they're throwing around the same buzzwords socialist Bernie for the past 8 years now.
Yeah, Bernie's a democratic
socialist.
He's a democratic socialist. So am I. And so a whole lot of other Americans.
Kind of the fabric of our country is that.
Yes, it is.
Just that we never teach any history to anybody.
Hey, Democrat, he is. What was the little, Helen Keller?
Yeah. What I'm thinking the power ticket would be is Hillary and Bernie. I just don't know if they could ever come together. I'm looking for the ticket that wins.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd like it. If that ticket, you want a ticket that can win, have it Jim Webb and Bernie. See, Clinton. Here's my problem with Clinton.
See, Webb had that little bit of run up. When was that? 8 years ago?
Yeah, and I like Jim Webb. I do. He was a good senator. I followed that campaign. That was really my first foray back into politics as far as the electoral was the Jim Webb campaign. He won. I like Jim Webb. My biggest problem with Hillary Clinton is the baggage that she carries. Meaning,
she does carry
it's not her personally. Yeah. I think she's smart. Think she's capable.
Absolutely.
Think she's doing a fine job. I think she's too corporate for my taste. And she's sold out to people I don't like.
Monsanto.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things
my biggest
that kind of drives me nuts.
Actual issue with her, though, is going to be I am tired. After 8 years of these people, and I've grown. He and I got some big issues this week, but over trade. But President Obama, I would actually like to see the guns down for a little while, and I'm tired of the constant conflict. And that's all you're going to get with Hillary Clinton, because if you know what they did to her and Bill last time they were in office, I don't need another 8 years of hearings and complaint, because I'm just going to tune out. And a lot of Americans will literally.
And you don't think you'll see the same thing?
I think you'll lose. I don't think it's going to be as bad if you got some other people, because you don't have they're still doing investigations, and I don't think she's guilty of anything in Benghazi. I think Benghazi's a joke.
Oh God,
okay,
it has been.
But it's just a political
that Issa
thing.
got thrown out.
That was funny. Yeah, they walked him in. Dude,
awesome.
You gotta get. Dude, you're like it's like his dude's drunk uncle showed up.
Leave.
Yeah, dude, really, man, this is kind of our thing.
Yeah,
but
you had your time.
Yeah, but no, and I do, and I think it's contention.
See, look
and
at
I think
Diane
she
Reeves,
just what she represents.
for example.
Yeah.
Looked on Facebook and saw something about a dual citizenship thing that was
about Bernie, that nonsense about an Israeli citizenship. That's BS.
And so you don't think that the same thing's going to happen to him? I mean,
I don't know
if he's the guy. Let's say that he's the guy on the left side, and
I don't know if it's going to be as vitriolic. I think the American people, and this may be their design though, because you know how I feel about both parties. I don't have.
I hear you.
And I by design, but what's happening is things have gotten to such a point. And I find myself doing that more than I ever have in my lifetime. And I'm a guy who has always been a news junkie, that you start checking out because I'm tired of hearing it.
What about a Sanders-Warren ticket?
Ooh, that would be like the progressive dream
Wouldn't it?
ticket. That's like, that's.
I mean, could that win?
No,
could that
not
win?
a chance. The American electorate isn't that far left.
Could that create the viable third party?
That could be possible. And it would take, but the viable third party.
And it's scary that the splinter group.
Yeah, well, the viable third party is out there, and you're going to have to get them to. It hasn't been formed. They're people. It's like Nixon's silent majority, but they're going to have to get together and talk. And I think there's some fundamental things they're going to have to work out amongst themselves. Yeah. But the silent majority, and it's an age thing, okay, are younger people, and that is progressives, and it is libertarians. And it needs to be younger people because we're still fighting the street wars of the 1960s and 70s, and I don't care.
So we need to look
We've
back
got
at
baby boomers who are still mad at one another over things they did when we were little kids, and they're still fighting over the same crap.
Yes.
And I've had about enough of it, and it's time for younger people to move in. And not just, I'm telling you, progressives and libertarians can find enough common ground.
They can, because if you look back at 18th century British politics and you look at the social libertarian movement that was then, I mean, it's kind of led to what we have in Britain now.
Yeah. Which, when you hear the conservative takeover in Britain, remember, those conservatives would not even be accepted in the Republican Party in America.
Oh, hell no.
They would pass no litmus test. They are not conservatives as we know conservatives.
Yeah, they wouldn't pass the Koch test.
No. No. And not the one, that Koch test. We're talking about the Koch brothers.
KOCH.
Yes.
Which is worse than any COKE that's ever hit
really
the planet.
is, and has the Republican Party hooked.
New Coke in 85 was pretty bad.
New Coke in 85 was pretty awful. You're right.
But was it worse than Charles and David?
But it was the smartest marketing blunder ever because it created the cult following
All right, Tom,
the classic Coke.
Before we get off and talk about Coke, state politics, man. Where are we at on state politics? How's Tommy feeling about state politics? What's got him? What's got you on state politics level? Just choose one thing.
Damn it, it's the SOSDD thing. I just really, I'm so over it. The supermajority has got to go. Thank you, Supreme Court. Because you're the only check we have at this point.
Well, here's the last issue I want to talk about.
What else are we going to do? I mean,
no, there's
if
nothing
we can't
going to
redistrict
happen.
this crap, we got to wait for the court to come down with our redistricting thing.
And the court's probably not. So we're looking at 2018. When you start to get what's going to happen, I hope, is that by 2018, the margin's going to close because that's just natural. So the margin in Raleigh is going to close. The Republicans are going to start losing seats and things are going to start looking maybe not grim for them, but we hope.
How? They've redistricted the thing to 100 years.
It happened in Texas. They can't do that. They're trying to form a Reich as if they're the Third Reich. No. With the 1,000-year Reich. But what happened in Texas is indicative, and it happened to Tom DeLay, and he thought he had done that and had it all rigged up, and then people started shifting around, moving around, and moving, and that happens. That's
and
a
then
natural
the hammer
thing.
got hammered.
Yeah, and then the hammer got hammered, and the hammer might go to jail. Yeah. But anyway, it will happen. The demographic changes happen. People shift. People move around. You can't control that. That's why you do it every 10 years.
State? Okay, you say demographics are shifting. Who's moving into the state? Are we getting progressives moving into the state, or are we getting more conservatives moving into the state?
We don't know. And those things are born out. And actually, what we'll see it is in 2016. You'll see it in the presidential numbers. That's where you can take a sounding every 4 years.
Nobody freaking votes.
Yeah.
Nobody votes.
And so, but anyway, so what could happen 2018 if they start? I'm thinking that might be a good time to start talking about redistricting reform because Republicans are not. They're going to still be rolling the dice. Democrats roll in here, and National Democrats give money, and they roll in here, and they actually come up with a candidate by then. I mean, that's the problem with Democrats. They got no candidates. They got nothing. There's no bench there. It's like playing Little League.
So maybe this is where the third party starts.
There you go, right here in this room.
Maybe.
I think Tim should be our point man. Though. I think he could be, he'd be like a puppet, and we get him to do stuff because I'm not an out front leader.
In 2000, I toyed around with the Equality Party, trying to start the Equality Party.
Right on. I'm for equality.
All the disparate voices, the silenced people, and giving them a voice. Will we get? Anyway.
Real quick, because we only got about 5 more minutes left. Tim, would you run for office, man? If we put you out, we can put you together, man.
I don't know.
You got a pretty safe past. You're not a bad guy. You got no warrants, right?
No,
nothing right now. Nothing right now. You got to worry about.
No, this is that sheep stuff. But I was in West Virginia.
That's West Virginia. That's not even a crime there.
Yeah, they just all knew me as Tim.
All right, man. On that note,
it was
real
legal
quick,
up there.
I want to ask you guys because you're dads. One thing that's happened this week that's kind of slipped everybody's notice up in the state Senate is that they are doing away with driver's ed. Just doing away with it.
What?
And what you're going to, and I don't remember the whole thing, but what you're going to be able to do is your kid's not going to have to go. They're going to raise the threshold on the written test that you had to pass. And then they're going to have other training with parents built in requirements like you can't forge that, right? And then the first lawsuit against the state of North Carolina, they will probably reinstate it. But for right now, seriously, it will be a situation where our kids are not going to have to go to driver's ed and we can just get them the licenses. I got one that turned 16 and we had not been able to get him in driver's ed yet, so he hasn't gotten his.
Is this Senate bill?
This is a Senate thing. They don't want to spend the money on driver's ed in schools.
Of course not. They don't want to spend the money on anything.
Because it says ed.
Yeah, and the word education in it. Mm-hmm. They don't want to spend the money on it in schools. They were going to, and parents would have ended up paying as much as $200 or more for it, depending on what your locality did. They had already stripped it out of the budget. The House put it back in the budget because it makes sense. Mm-hmm. We do it. Again,
wait a minute.
This is a solution looking for a
problem. It's going to be privatized now.
Yeah, or you can go to that, or no, you don't have to have it.
Right.
So they didn't even privatize. So really, you could just be some knucklehead kid. Your parent. I mean, think about the people that are out there. Think about the other kids. I'm already terrified of kids driving. Can you imagine what's going to be on the road in a couple of years when these kids have had no driver's ed? Mom and dad want them out of their face, so they helped them get their license, and they're on the road.
Are they going to change the graduated license scene?
No. It's same ages and everything. Just parents have to spend more time in car with you. It's like 85 hours or something.
Oh, okay.
As if that's not going to be, there will be parents who diligently do that, and then there will be a lot of parents who lie just to get them out of their face and to get them picking up their little sister at middle school.
Just like
and it's going to be a mess. There are going to be accidents. It will.
Ouch.
People will die. People. Was that too much?
Cats mating with dogs.
Was that too much? All right, anyway. But before we go, there are some events this week and kind of turn our attention. I don't want to be seen as exploiting what happened at Emmanuel African Methodist in Charleston. So if you're here in Winston-Salem on this Friday, June 26th at 7 p.m. at Mary's Gourmet. If you don't know where that is, it's at 723 Trade Street. Most of our listeners know. But there's going to be a candlelight visual. Pastor Sarah Howell from Centenary is putting it together. And there's going to be a visual for the victims then. And Tim, there's a couple of other places if you really want, if our listeners want to, and we'll post this stuff on the site as well, where you can go and make legit donations.
Right. You can send a check to Mother Emanuel Hope Fund, care of City of Charleston, Post Office Box 304, Charleston, South Carolina, 29402. You can stop by any Wells Fargo bank nationwide and make a donation to the fund, or going to the website that is bidr.co/pray for Charleston, or texting Pray for Charleston to 843-606-5995.
And we'll make sure
BidR is a company based in Charleston that helps raise funds for organizations and events. And you can also send a check to Low Country Ministries, Reverend Pickney Fund, care of the Palmetto Project, 6296 Rivers Avenue, number 100, North Charleston, South Carolina, 29406, or by donating to palmettoproject.org.
And those have all been checked out by the city of Winston-Salem and are legit places to get help directly to victims of this terrible terrorist attack. So anyway, we'll be right back here on the Electric Camel Pod and talk about something a little lighter.
You said, oh, could this happen? You said, oh, can this be? The remnant all dishonored on a bridge of misery. And we who cried for mercy